Welcome back to Breaking Black Podcast. You are here with your host, Tina D, and my lovely co-host, Janine Hartmann. Today, we're going to be talking about or dealing with insecurities, self-confidence, and positive affirmations.
On me. My affirmations over real.
I feel like most women, most people for that matter, have probably struggled with self-confidence or insecurities at some particular point in their life. And so I wanted to make sure that we had an episode that was dedicated and just reminding ourselves on how to celebrate ourselves and, to support each other. I like to leave notes around the house. I put them on my refrigerator. I post them everywhere that just says things like, you're going to win today. Like, you're going to have a great day. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're capable, just to remind myself, when times are hard or maybe if the world's kind of, throwing things at me, that I have these things that I can see in, my home that are like reaffirming. And I saw this like really beautiful video. So I want to play it and, just to give encouragement to our audience. If you're ever feeling down, definitely create a space for yourself that's going to bring you back where you can reaffirm, yourself and, build your self-worth and build your self-confidence, because those things are important. We need those things to just deal with what we're dealing with in our society.
Divine. I am powerful. I am confident. I am healthy. I am rich. I am beautiful. And I call back all my power. From any time, any person, and any place wrapped in love and healing. And I release anything that is not serving me for my highest good. I release any anxiety, any depression, and any negativity. I release it all.
Positive affirmations. Do you have any affirmations that you say to yourself or anything that you implement like on a daily basis or maybe when you're feeling down?
I really just call myself queen. You're beautiful. And I don't know about you. I always tell people, I was like, you don't ever just go look in the mirror and be like, damn, you look good. Everything about you look good. Like I remember some girls told me, they was like, no. I was like, oh, well, I do that. And that works for me. Every mirror I pass by, I'm like, everything. That's what I do. And maybe because I started out dancing more, it's more physical. It's more like I just have to like move, or just one word and queen, and I'm back into it.
I love that. I guess I like to use the word beautiful, and when I think of the word beautiful, it's not just like beauty on the outside. Like to me, beautiful like can be beautiful on the inside. So I love to just like tell myself like you're beautiful. And when I say like you're beautiful, I'm beautiful, it's more so saying like everything about me, my spirit, my energy, like is beautiful. And I feel like just going out into the world telling myself that, I always try to remind myself, especially when sometimes there's like a world of ugliness out there, and those things come at you. It's like I like to have like a light spirit and a light energy. So I try to tell myself like just kind of to those things to inspire myself on a regular basis. Listen to that motivational speaking sometimes. I like to listen to sermons, but I think like the biggest self-reminder, like I said, is just having like notes around my house that like just have reaffirming messages on them. So when I'm just walking past them, I see them on a regular basis, and it just kind of reminds me of who I am and who I, aspire to be. So I think it's good to implement, things like that help you to have a daily reminder. Are there any particular, I would say like tools or strategies that you use, maybe when you're feeling a little down on yourself or you need a little bit of a boost of confidence, any particular things that you implement in terms of self-care and kind of reaffirming yourself?
Honestly, just reminding myself of how much of that which I am. And that includes just being aware of how amazing you are, of how unique you are. And I never compare myself to anybody else, only who I was previously, who I was yesterday. Am I really connecting I'm really connecting to the other character in the scene. You know, if I'm doing a theater production, the performance from Janine on Monday, is she better or is she worse than Janine on Thursday? You know, that's who I'm really comparing myself to. And I know I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do judge, or I do like look at other people. I'm like, okay, I would do things a different way. But I think I just have to remind myself to focus on myself, focus that energy on myself, bettering myself, and being, you know, somebody that my parents would be proud of, you know, honestly, and somebody that my nieces would grow up and like, oh, you know, Auntie was pretty dope just being who she was, you know, let me be myself. And that's the one thing I would say I want people to take away from, like, there's nobody on this planet like you. And, you know, like how we mentioned earlier, how sometimes people try to put you in a box. And it's okay to say no. I'm not going in your box. I am who I am. I don't just fit in this category. There'll be times I would be placed in more of the hip hop. No, I do ballet, I do tap, I do modern. You know, just because I look a certain way doesn't mean I can't do it. Or I can, like, I've done my own fight scenes on shows and in theater productions live. So there's, you know, there's so many more elements of Janine that the world hasn't seen. But at the same time, you have to be open to it. But also, I don't give a damn if you're open to it. You're going to see it, okay? This team. Because I know there's some parts of you that, like, the world, like, even myself hasn't seen. What part of you, like, that you would come to the sense that people would be like, that's team?
You know, it's funny because I feel like I'm a real blur. Like, I'm a really nerdy person. Like, if you look at like my music choices, my movie, film choices, like some of the art that I like to see, like I'm a very nerdy person. And I'm also like really into sci-fi, and also animation. And I love like literature and poetry. Like, so I feel like a lot of times my aesthetic or like the look that I have doesn't necessarily always represent like how much of like a nerd and introverted person that I really am. So a lot of my friends don't necessarily like enjoy doing like a lot of the same activities that I like. And I do feel like I'm always prejudged by, I guess, whatever this aesthetic typically fits for other people, right? And so it's like they oftentimes are surprised. Like my friends get in my car and they listen to like what I'm listening to, and they're just like, "Wait, like what are you listening to?" Because I like country music, I like pop music. Like pop music is my favorite music. So I always have like pop icons playing. I love like Christian rock, like contemporary rock. So like I play that in my car a lot. So like people get in my car and they're just like, wait, what? Like they're expecting like, I don't know, like this hip hop, urban, you know, maybe R&B kind of thing. And that's like not my thing. And I'm a lover of British cinema and French cinema, and I like watching like Portuguese television series and things like that. So like if you look at the things that I'm like into, I feel like oftentimes like people don't necessarily assimilate like the way that I look or dress or whatever with like some of my interests. So I feel like I'm always misunderstood kind of, you know, in that way. And it's always interesting. Like it's on my bio that I'm like a super huge like sci-fi horror nerd. But like if you didn't read that, you probably wouldn't know that about me. Like my favorite show is like The Twilight Zone, like the old school 1950s Rod Serling, got like 100 episodes saved. Like, so I'm really into like anthologies and things like that. I love looking at television shows and cinemas that are centered around writers. So like The Affair, Sex and the City, where the characters are like actual writers. Because I'm like really like literature and I love like movies and shows that are like are adapted from books. So that's like I feel like I don't know if I give that off or not, but I feel like people are always surprised by my interests, so that makes me feel like whatever they're looking at aesthetically is like not kind of gelling with, I guess, the kind of personality that I have. Like, what about you? Like, do you have any quirks that like people wouldn't be aware of? Any like other interests that maybe people wouldn't, automatically assume about you if they just met you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like literally my favorite iconic pop star, Britney Spears. Don't get me wrong. Listen, Michael, Janet, we love them down. But for me, it's Britney. Like, it's Britney. So, like, I remember my friend was she was bragging about me to somebody, and they were white, and she was like, yeah, my best friend, her pop icon is Britney Spears, and she's a black woman. They was like, what? I was like, I don't know. What's the big deal? I'm black. I love Britney Spears. I love me some Star Wars. I felt like I was like one of the few black people in that Star Wars theater though, when I saw the rise of Skywalker. I was like, mind you, I had to force my cousin to come with me because nobody else would come with me. I was like, I don't have any like Star Wars friends. They'd be like, Janine, I don't watch Star Wars. That's just you, girl. I love me some. I love, like, if there's one like genre that I would love to dominate if I had like a choice, it would be sci-fi, because Aliens starring Sigourney Weaver is one of my favorite movies. So if I was ever like in a role like that, Janine would be happy. Like I'm that's literally my goal. More sci-fi, Matrix, Terminator type of role. So I'm like, especially like if it's like a space, especially like Aliens, because I just like saw Alien Romulus, and I'm like, yes. So I would say that, and my other guilty pleasure is rock. Love me some Paramore. Love me all the time. I cut my life into pieces. All that tea, all that. I love it.
Yeah, I love me some Blink-182 and Red Hot Chili Peppers. Those were like my bands back in the day.
We were doing a work karaoke, and I remember like I went to the bathroom, I came back, and they're like, "Oh, Janine, like we got you something to sing." I was like, I didn't know I like Britney Spears, and they got me. Now watch me whip, watch me nay nay, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the song, but it was just like, why did you think I like this song out of all? Like, crickets. That thing. I'm like, oh, y'all sing the song. Y'all chose it. I'm gonna sing Toxic when this is over. And I sure did. And they were crickets. I think they were like shocked. I was like, sir, I don't know why you thought. Now watch me do it. Watch me. Like, out of all songs, really, it's okay though. It's okay.
Do you feel like those misperceptions, like, do you feel like they may cause you to feel like, I don't know if it's insecurities, but it's like there's something about being in a space where, you don't feel like you're recognizing your space, or when someone's making like, they have false perceptions about like what you should be or what they think you are. Do you feel that that's like a common experience? Like, I feel like because we're performers and we're in an environment around a lot of creatives, like, do you feel that as an African-American creative that you're still seen, I guess for who you truly are? Or do you feel like you're still experiencing what it's like to kind of be in a space where there could be like some social awkwardness because maybe people are making, preconceived notions about you or assuming things about you?
Absolutely. Especially, when I see it more so when I go to like acting classes and they give me scripts and I'm just like, okay, somebody has like some new script, like, that's exciting. And then who do I get? I get like Tiffany Haddish script, and I'm like, I can get a Meryl Streep script. It doesn't have to be a black woman. And I'm just like, you know what? Since I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to make everybody uncomfortable, because I think that's what I just like. At this point, I'm just over it. And I'm going to point stuff out. So, like, if, like, in that notion, I'm just like, I could just tell, like, I'm just like, I don't give my all. I see it. And I feel, and I'm thinking, like, you basically mean I'm not hitting with, like, Tiffany Haddish because I'm not freaking Tiffany Haddish. Why don't you just give me a role where it's just a complex character? How about that? Because I gave you my reel beforehand. And I've had some amazing teachers. Not all acting teachers are like this, but I've just noticed that when I go into certain acting classes with certain like casting directors, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. But everybody gets like regular, average. It's like they actually get like age, like the age that they feel like they fit. I don't mind that. Like, give me 20s woman. Hell, give me a 60-year-old woman. Give me something different, not just Tiffany Haddish or a typical Black woman that you have seen on TV.
The version of me others created in their mind is not my responsibility.
At this point, I'm not gonna lie, I do call it out. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Like, oh, you're not feeling it? No, really not. And they could tell, like, and then you think that they could see it, and the thing they're trying to figure out, like, why, what's going on, like, this is not working, and I'm like, it's not working, this character. It's just like, you just want me to be, unfortunately, like, a ghetto character in the role, because that's what, in the script, that's what it was entailing. And it was just like, this is a particular character, like, nobody else gets a ghetto role. I'm the only Black girl in class, why do I have to get a ghetto role? Nobody else gets a ghetto role. So it gets frustrating, but at those times, it's just like, you know what? I know I'm a great actress. I'm going to hone in on my craft. Actually, I got some good advice from a teacher one time. She's an amazing teacher, Janine Hartmann, and he was saying, you know, a lot of times, Janine, you're probably going to get stuff like this. She understands. She's a white woman. She knew. And she's like, instead of focusing on the stereotype, focus on the vulnerability of the character. Like, find a new twist to the character. But don't, like, just, they gave me a Black role. Because sometimes you don't have a choice. You just have to do the audition to, you know, to get into the avenues where you could actually say, no, I'm going to pass on this. So sometimes you got to be like, okay, let me just do it. But when I focus on the vulnerability of the characters, I focus on that, and I kind of forget that this is a stereotype, and I do it in a way where it's no longer a stereotype. Now, there's going to be sometimes, like, and I'm sure in your career as well, you have been told, like, oh, no, be more urban, or this, that, and whatnot. That's when it's just like, well, you know what, this probably is not the best role for me. But I did it like, I'm going to just do it again, like how I did it, finding those vulnerable moments. I'm not going to do it exactly like how you've seen some other Black person that you have in your mind to fit in this mold. But that's how I'm going to do it, because I'm Janine. I'm Janine, and you're Tina. Tina's going to do it a whole different way.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. I mean, even going back to like our other episode, you know, I talked about my experience with being on set, you know, and having to deal with the hair issue. I find that experiencing things like having somebody pick a role that's stereotypical for you, especially when you're the only one in the room who looks like you, or who has something to say about your hair or your style, because you're the only person in the room who looks like you. I'm a very confident woman, you know, and I am confident in my own form of beauty. And I don't think that I have to assimilate in any regard, but just the thought of someone feeling like it's okay for them to treat me that way it creates a different type of insecurity, because it's like, why are you comfortable kind of like violating my space? Why are you comfortable not being able to celebrate my cultural beauty? Like, why are you comfortable making comparisons or assigning me something that you wouldn't assign to somebody else just based on a stereotype or a stigma? And so I feel like that just internally, what it does is it's sending a message that like, that you're not treating me as an equal to other people, that you're not seeing me on the same level and the same spaces that you see other people. And I feel like that in itself is like something that I struggle with, because my nature, I'm an outspoken person in a sense, like I'm not gonna, let anybody disrespect me or, not treat me with integrity. So when things like that happen, it makes me want to speak up for myself, and really use my voice. And the most important part about that is not necessarily that I have something to say about what it is, but I want to be in a space where I say something to somebody that makes them think about how they made me feel, so that they don't do it to somebody else. If I think about all the other people, like if you get away with that and no one ever calls you out on that and never speaks out about that, you're going to move on and you're going to be speaking like that to other people, making other people feel uncomfortable. And where does it end, right? And as performers, we have a right to be protected. As African-American women, we have a right to be protected, as do all women of color, as do all women in general. And I just kind of feel that when those types of things are happening and people are oblivious to how it's making you feel, I want them to know, that can cause insecurities that may not have been there. And that can cause a person to question, their value or their worth in an instance where you may make them feel that way. And so, just speaking to like kind of how maybe those audition processes, maybe experiencing life in social circles or going through the rejections as a performer, how do you deal with that on an emotional or psychological level? Like, what are the things that you do or implement to kind of make sure that you're reaffirming yourself?
If I'm going through that and I'm working, like I'm on stage, and like if you're at rehearsals, director stops you and he gives you this feedback, and there'll be times where it's upsetting, but it's like, I'm here to act. I'm going to put all of my attention on the other character. That's the only thing I could do because I'm here to perform. Anything else I will address later. Like if I have to like go home and sleep and wake up and I'm still upset about it, I'm definitely gonna speak about it. I remember one time I went on, like I was during rehearsal for a show, and I was the only black woman, and we were on stage, and like one of the staff said, "Oh, Janine, smile." And I'm just thinking, like, she's taking a picture. Oh, she's like, "Oh, I just couldn't see you," because it's like I'm blending in with the darkness of the stage. And it was just like, she got in front of everybody. I was like, "Oh, hell no. I'm gonna have to handle this girl later." So as soon as we got a little break, I was like, "Yo, what you said was very racist. I did not like that." And she quickly like, "Guys, I have to make a big announcement." Like she apologized to me privately, and then she was like, "I have to make a big announcement, guys. Like this happened with me and Janine." And I'm just thinking, girl, she just blew this up. I was like, this is another manipulative factor. But then one of the other actresses came to me like, "Is she serious?" And I'm like, okay, I thought it was just me. These things happen. People need to get called out. But you know what? See, I'll give you this. She never said anything ignorant to me again. Not in front of my face. And I think people, like, important in life, you got to set boundaries. Now, sometimes I understand why people are afraid to, because they think that they're going to mess up an opportunity. Because, like, I remember I was just talking to one other actress, and she was in a big role, and her lead co-star, like, it was to the point where even when she stopped working with this person, she would still cry because it was still upsetting, like, him, like, critiquing her acting and coming at her and even, like, physically putting hands on her. And it was just to the point where, like, I think when somebody asks, like, why didn't you say anything? And it was just like, she started crying again because it was just, like, overwhelming for her. And I was like, I understand, especially women, like, in this time, like, even though we had our big Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, there's still issues going on set. So I think it's also great when you have people that want to advocate for others. And like how you were saying, like, you got to speak up. And nobody deserves to be treated that way. Absolutely not. So still fighting 2024. We still fighting for how we're being treated. Still fighting for respect. But not gonna stop. And when I'm not gonna stop, I'm not gonna stop fighting for myself and fighting for others when I see disrespect. Because if you allow somebody to disrespect somebody else on set, best believe your time is coming just now.
There's a way to maintain our professionalism and still, make it a point to let people know that, we should be treated fairly. And that should just come with the territory. We're still working in a profession. It's not like any other profession. We should be, honored and respected. And our culture and our beauty should be respected as well. And so I think that that's like a reason why, I want to open up and have these types of conversations. And also just, as individuals, it's good to just be reaffirming and, be positive within yourself. Our audience out there, like, if you've ever been struggling with, confidence issues, insecurities, self-esteem, things like that, are there particular experiences that you've had that have caused those things to happen? How did you deal with them? If we have people out there that have, different tips or tricks that they would like to share with us on how to boost or rebuild confidence, any daily affirmations or things that you like to do to keep yourself inspired, to keep yourself encouraged and motivated, please feel free to share them in the comments. We want our YouTube community to feel as beautiful as we do every day, to feel inspired as we do every day. And we celebrate you no matter who you are, wherever you are, in whatever walk of life you're in. So I want to thank you again for tuning into Breaking Black Podcast. We're going to have a lot more for you coming in these upcoming seasons. Please make sure that you subscribe to Breaking Black Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Patreon, and Pandora. And then also follow us on social media on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for watching our show, and be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.